everyone.
Good morning. So I just wanted to welcome everybody to the DCUO track for SOE Live 2014. Woo! Thanks for getting up early. I'm sure some of you had a late night, so we appreciate.
How do you know they got up?
Yeah, they're still up. They're zombified. Perhaps.
Eric Duncan is.
Oh. Is he? He didn't even.
He's not even
He's
here.
not even here to appreciate that. Yeah. Our first panel is wide play. So we just want to let this be a kind of an open forum of discussion between you and us, just to help us better understand motivation. We have our ideas, but we want to basically with them. So without further ado, I want to hand it over to Ted Stone.
Hello. And we'll introduce everybody here. This is Jesse Benjamin, Locke Design Director on DCUO. This is Captain Liberty. Did you introduce yourself?
Actually, I didn't. I failed.
Executive Producer on DCUO. And what's your name? Executive Jen.
It's Jen.
Jens Andreessen.
Jens Anderson, Senior Creative Director on DCUO. And we have devs in the crowd, right? So I want to introduce all of you guys too. So
in fact, you're welcome. If you want to be at the table, that's fine. But there are some chairs up here if you want to come up and face the crowd.
And be blinded by the light.
yeah, we want this to be a discussion around us. So
We had hoped this would be a round table, but there isn't a round table in here. So
well, there's that one.
yeah, that's true. Everybody around this table.
But okay, so coming forward to us right now, we have Mark Tunzo Hallish, lead systems, and next to him is Robin.
Let's say Nightwing.
His Nightwing. Jesse Scott.
Jesse Sport Scott. Yeah, let's move him. That's terrible. Is everybody here still drunk? There we go.
Everybody is. Yeah. And then next to Mark, we have Donovan Kennedy, Dizzy Kraken, lead content. And too nervous to come up, we have Lars Smith. What's your title, Lars?
Lars, I know.
Lead gameplay engineer.
Just Lars. Lead gameplay engineer. Okay. He's the super engineer.
Larzino on the forums, right? Oh, Larzinho. I've been saying it all these years. Yeah.
And in front of Lars, we have S.J. Mueller, nerd of Frey.
Miller. Yeah.
It's spelled funny. Yeah. Am I missing anyone?
Yes.
Well, then we're going to not announce him.
You're not next.
He doesn't exist.
All right.
Wow. Way to go.
Okay, so I guess that's the dev team we have here today. Lots of people. This panel, we talk about why you guys play DC games online, why you started playing, why you keep playing, why you'd like to continue playing in the future. And we can go from there into kind of any topics we want at that point. I do want to point out a couple things. This panel runs to 10 o'clock. At 10:30, we have Design with the Devs, where we'll be designing potential content for DCO with this guy and the rest of the design team. Okay, that guy. Okay.
Mr. Kraken.
After that, at 2 o'clock, we have the keynote panel where we will blow your minds. You will. And that's going to be right across the hall. So all the panels today are in this room, easy to find, and the keynote's right across the hall. Also, buzzword, Eric Duncan just walked in, so. He's our brand manager. Yeah.
I did.
You weren't here, so. Okay, and then at 4 o'clock, we have the Action Combat panel right back in this room. And then at 5:30, we have the DC deck building game live quest in this room, which should be pretty fun to show up.
Terrible tables for it.
We can make it work.
Can we rearrange?
Yeah, we can rearrange.
We will be terraforming.
It'll be fine. So, okay, just one more thing. This postcard, we will be handing out to everyone in the room. There are instructions on it for how you can get your own DC Comics poster. mailed to you for free.
We finally made new posters because we got the new logo and all that stuff, and finally got around to making new posters and using the old ones. So we get new ones. We didn't bring them here because they're quite huge. And
They're what?
they're huge. So we would hear the crazy around the posters, come home and swipe the garage spread. So you can send us an email. We'll ship one out to you, one per person. But they're really cool. We get that art right there, or we've got some other art.
Trinity.
We got
It's on the card.
Okay. Reminder, we're T-rated.
We have one that has all 4 out of the 6 mentors. We left Wonder Woman and Circe off just to enrage Circe on the forums.
All right, so without further ado, why play? And I wanted to start off by asking you guys up here why you guys play Decentraland, or why you were excited to work on it, I suppose might be a better question. Just to get the ball rolling. No, that's not our plan.
Damn, combative already.
I haven't got much sleep, man.
Did you lose some money last night? Or?
No.
No, so that's a problem.
Who's going first?
Let's start with
Sure.
Hunso.
All right.
sure.
Well, for me, DC Universe Online represented a chance to do something that I've wanted to do since I learned about MMOs and started playing them back in the 90s. Totally awesome, but I've always been a big action game fan, a big fan of brawlers, fighting games, stuff like that. And I really wanted to play something that merged both of those together. And I am extraordinarily blessed to have been able to help make that happen. So that's my big thing with DC Universe Online.
So the lead systems designer plays with the systems. It makes sense.
Shocker.
Yeah. All right, Jesse.
So it's going to sound a little weird, but the main reason I really like to play DC Universe at the beginning was because I can use controller to do it. I am a pretty heavy console gamer. I like the controller way better than keyboard mouse. And people told me that MMOs can be played with controllers, although there was one that was on there already. It just didn't feel like a console game to me.
Why do you play?
So for me, I think it's all about the comics. I mean, I've been a comics fan since 10 years old or something. Comics are incredibly awesome to me. Great stories. I mean, getting in to be able to play characters from the DC world, play with the characters, have stories that are involved with them is really awesome. And then our game has the coolest combat, the coolest physics system of any. It's really awesome. I mean, to be on console. Cutting edge stuff.
I play the game because of the DC Universe, but it's really because you get to step into it as your own character. And there just is no other experience out there where you actually get to play with these characters while not being one of the characters. I get to create my own hero, my own villain. And I get to still be in this awesome universe that's been around for decades with all these amazing characters and amazing stories. And it's such a common touchstone for everybody, for a lot of people that play the game, because they are so popular and prolific, these characters. So I play it because I get to be a part of something, not tagging along for the ride as one of these characters and living vicariously through them. I actually get to put my own stamp on this universe, and that's why I love the universe online.
Yeah, almost everything they said, but also, so I played the hell out of EQ2 for years, and when I came over on this team, I didn't know what they were actually building per se. Then I started playing it, and I was hooked. I haven't played EQ2 since because the combat there doesn't match our combat. It's fun. I get every year when I come here, then I see the videos and the little keynotes. I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna fire it back up, and I fire it up. And I'm like, oh my god, one, 3. It's really slow. Whereas in ours, and I played the healer a lot in that game too. And I played healer in our game. It's just like in that game, it was like I just stood another MMO. So I just stood still, watched some health bars, and just stood there and pushed some buttons while people yelled at me in chat.
In ours, I'm actually having to move around, I'm dodge rolling, I'm building up combos, I'm doing all kinds of crazy stuff. You know, armor now is going to need to do more DPS, or need to, if I'm already DPS, switch to healing, I can swap on the fly. It's so exciting, the combat and the content, the stories, it's just nothing like it I've ever played, and I probably will ever play. It's just a really, really fun game. And what's cool is I get to work on it, so I get to have a little influence of what's going in.
A little
bit. Like this guy for it.
I play because I can be a robot.
You mean you're not?
One day you'll be a real boy.
That's not my name. No, I actually play, probably the reason why a lot of people play MMOs is to progress my character and master whatever it is I'm working on. And I like the way in DCO I can do that as a very customized character, both in terms of powers and in terms of styles, right? So many options of what I'm going to look like or be. I'm the robot with the trench coat, right? It's a unique kind of feel compared to everyone having kind of the same armor or the same character. There's so many styles.
Can I make an observation too?
Yeah.
Just about me. I see you play the game a lot, and Mepps has to deal with the community's rage sometimes for fires that we create, and so we can cause lots of frustration for him. But I got to tell you the joy on this guy's face when he interacts with you guys and just pops into your lead call and does like advanced and spawning stuff up. It's really awesome to see. So I would argue too that a lot of it is about these guys.
Yeah.
You're a sick man.
Yeah.
I do.
There's a lot of joy out of it. It's awesome to stop by his office. And you look over his shoulder and he's like in the middle of something. I'm like, what are you doing? I just want Batman as a thing.
That's not the way playing.
You're playing them.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a bit of burning ants in that whole.
That is not what I was implying.
You're playing
Anyway,
too.
it is fun. I have also watched Mepps just have players rain them down, and particularly satisfying in the Hall of Doom. Just because of its structure, it's perfect for just spawning awful things.
When all the people are dying, it's wonderful.
Sure, PS3 players.
By the way.
What's that?
Wednesday's event, thanks for that. That's fun.
Sure, yeah. How many people have been murdered by me? Okay, great. I'll get to all of you orders.
I have an avatar of tech in my league hall.
Yeah.
Nice, temporary. I started playing DC in large part because it was on console, and I really, it's the type of game that I was always hoping could work. I was at SOE more than a decade ago working on the original slew of their MMOs, so Squid and EQ and others in a platform group. And I didn't really enjoy, aside from PlanetSide 1 when we had 50 versus 50 combat, they just weren't my style of game. I could appreciate and enjoy certain aspects, but DC is the first MMO that's really hooked me in large part because I've got a console background and I find it really satisfying. And the more I play with others and good groups and see camaraderie deepens my appreciation for the game.
So we heard a lot of stuff. We heard combat systems, stories, characters, environments. We want to focus on any one of those.
Well, I think we should turn it over to the crowd.
Sure.
And we want you to tell us why you play. And in that, what we can do to make those things better, cooler, better, keep you there.
Just your hand went up first.
Hey, I go by Magician on the forum as well as the game. At the time DCO came out, City of Heroes had just died out. And so there wasn't a really comparable superhero games that I can get myself into, other than Champions Online, and I didn't get it. So when I got into DC Universe, my big thing is immersion. And having 32 characters with some epic names that we discussed last night, Larry, I was able to find some characters that I could develop, customize, stylize how I wanted, what kind of power set, and as you were saying, be your own character in the superhero universe. So what I would suggest to what you can do better is, give us more style options. More hairstyles, more clothing, casual clothing, stuff like that. Because I really like to build my character, not so bulky in armor, but maybe just, some spandex and fishnets. I love the fishnets. Whoever got those in, thank you very much. I support them on my character. I still wear the Vegas baby shirt from 2011 and the top hat.
That would go well with the fishnet, probably.
It did. So, the immersion factor is for me.
How many characters do you have?
32.
That's the most you can have.
How many of you out there would relate to Magician's comment about customization and style as a draw to the game? Do you guys feel, are you able to envision most of the characters that you see style-wise? Or you guys, anybody find like restrictions, just stuff they can't do? Yeah.
I had the one, I was kind of hoping last spring, people would like see something like a Green Man looking face.
A face.
The lead looking one.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
Actually, a comment that I was asked to bring up here, style-based, and so it'll probably be time to bring it up, is a person who I play with on the villain side who they use the reptile skin. They're like, I want Croc's tail, and that's his biggest thing. He said the lizard skin had. At least the cat and the dog skins have,
Yeah, we kind
even
of
if it's
favor-
static and just sort of stuck there. He said, just give me like a belt option to like put a tail, a lizard tail on his
We
character.
definitely favor the furries.
He's like, I see Killer Croc and I'm jealous.
Yeah,
I think
Michael.
one of the big things for me is sometimes I don't necessarily have a certain look in my character. And some of the things that you guys come up with inspire me to develop that look. You get some match stuff. I'm like, oh, that looks cool. Like if I do this way. But I think that's one of the big pluses of being the enormity of the different styles that you guys have. Give us that option and kind of like a sandbox for us to create and play.
Stand up for a second. Sure. Turn around. So, are you looking for some kind of horn helmet attachment, or maybe your head?
That would be nice.
Okay.
I think one of the big things too, I know, some of the guys that know play plants like you like camouflage looks, and that's like something we don't have in DCUO right now. Like a three-color camouflage style. Customize those.
Okay. So just on that note too, this guy right here, how fond of the whole trinket idea were you originally?
I thought it was dumb.
Oh, this is the stupidest thing ever. And so how many times did you run the vault, and how many trinkets do you have?
I think I ran it just under 200 times. And,
Oh my God.
I use a lot of the vault kits, so I got some booster levels, but I bought a whole lot.
Oh my God.
So a lot of those. I just wanted to make sure that, the development of the unicorn trinket from all the trolls uniform is actually in board full. And profitable.
To sound off of what he was saying for the customization based on
your character as you see it. Oftentimes, I play a character that doesn't change his uniform that often.
No. Really?
Yeah, you guys can tell.
Shocker.
But when I'm just starting to make alts that are not like DC themed, I should say, they don't have an iconic theme to them.
Does Ted Cord know?
He's just kind of sitting to the side a little bit right now.
Actually, he's 60.
Yeah, no, thanks. Would you like the bullet back or the sword?
Bring him back.
Yeah, no, right? He was back here for a little while with that. When I'm making the alts, I've gotten a ton of styles on VB, and I look at them and then I envision what I want. And then a lot of times when I'm building an alt, when I'm feeling a little low and I want to make a new alt, and I build it up to a certain point and I stop. When you get to the character creator, you guys have said that you like the idea of us building it up as we go because we're becoming our own hero. But when we're looking at the character creator, it is extremely restricting on that part. And then there's certain styles that are so rare, but they're so good that you look at it and it's like, okay, I really want this style, but I have no way I can go run this content 50 times with this character because I'm just not putting that much effort into it. and it kind of kills a little bit of the drive for the style.
So, who plays a lot of alts? Do you play because you can make a lot of alts? And, yeah. So, one of the problems we have there is, like, sort of, it's the feats that are associated with a lot of the styles and things like that. So, we should be interesting to work something out where you can, we need more style items that are purchasable on the marketplace for sure. That would be something you guys would be interested in. Yes.
Spittle, real quick, I just wanted to sort of tag on, is with the styles, it would be nice to have a color option.
Amen. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
More color of the palette would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I agree.
Give us base white and black.
Although so here's, I'm gonna leak something right now.
So, wait, no, okay, I meant to say we're not leaving it in his panel.
You meant to say you're not leaking it. So this isn't a feature we have planned or anything like that, but it is something I think would be worthwhile. We can't go back and add a fourth color to all of the assets. That's just absolutely too much work. There's implications on the client for that. The patch size would be huge. So we can't add a fourth channel to, or a piece has 4 colors on it. But what we could experiment with is actually having a fourth color in your palette, so you can choose 3 out of 4 or something like that.
Oh,
And that's something that I would really
that
like
would
to
work.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And ideally, with that, I mean, like for me, it's all because of the story, which is one of the main reasons I play. I think it's done a great job. The whole exobyte concept for the characters. What got me into it is, I can finally play as X or as a clone of X without getting in copyright trouble. And when you try to create an iconic character, it's like you try to go for the color scheme, and then there's that one thing, like the one that bugs me every time is I can't get the gold on Bats utility dump. I can't get it because I need the blue, I need the gray, I need the, and if I could just get one item where I could pop one, if you give me 4 colors and one piece, I can throw one other color on it, I'd be thrilled.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so, Larry. Get that on the list. Yes, get that on the list. It is on the list? Yeah. It's on the backlog. The backlog's huge.
That's not good. It's like, no,
Pumping up. Yeah, any other comments on style stuff about what makes you play, about customization? Or?
Going back to the whole styles with all its Bumblebee was talking about, I think a great idea would be using replay badges with styles in a way.
Similar to
Instead
the
of
Feats.
going on
Style
to
of
alts
what?
every time, buying the Fury gear, if you have a main, you've already collected it, going to alt, you see it on that alt style list with a replay badge. Now
Sure.
you can spend
And you can just
get it.
unlock it right there, add character create on the customization. I think it's interesting, we got dinged for our character create customization by a lot of people that were familiar with Champions Online, or City of Heroes. They felt like we had such limited options, and compared to them, yes, that was true, but they had a different long-term approach to how you customize your character and how the gear worked in relation to styles and things like that. They didn't really connect in that way. We wanted to do something different with actual real gear pieces and slots and things that had styles associated to them, but you could choose to divorce those things, as you collected them over time. So, yeah, I agree. We do need to do something there. It does feel a little, at this point, we've added so many styles to the game, nothing has ever made it back into character create. But it's tricky because, as you can see, we just added the sharpshooter legs onto the.
Also, what are we not doing that?
What's that?
I heard that it doesn't show up on there.
Everything but the legs. But literally, I'm getting tweets and people are freaking out that because they had to grind for 3 years to get those feats, that how dare we put those on there. So it's tricky, right? Because people have a sense of accomplishment associated with that style. So it's a bit of a slippery slope, to be honest with you. I've had some people react negatively to that. So is that why did they play? Because they were able to achieve something and get something and have a unique look that somebody else
can't have unless they go through the same trouble. You know, is that a demotivation for some people as opposed to a motivation to create an alt because you could use some of the things that or directly purchase them? I think it is different if you unlocked it on another tune. Somebody else which is your specific suggestion, but you know, it's all about the nuance there and how you handle it. I think with how we handle Feats, we could do something like that potentially.
I think so long as you guys don't re-release the Batman Inspired match, you'll be all right.
Well, I mean, that's a totally different issue, right? That's like that's not going to happen.
Let's go to Sword.
One of the things I noticed when I'm trying to get off the initial character creator is I like to have some synergy between the power sets, a little bit of body size, and styles that give me my name. But it's pretty challenging if I can't find a good name that matches. It'd be really cool if there was a way to lock in your name without it being the last chance that we can even.
Yeah, that's a big problem, right? And so I love how Cryptic handles it, to be honest with you. So what they have is an account name. So you know, I was playing Star Trek Online a lot recently. You know, they have an actual account name at Jens Anderson, and do not spam details. And then you know, I can name my actual on-screen name that people will see as just whatever I want, and it doesn't matter if there's a conflict because it always at the top level relates back to my account. So that would be a great way so that we don't see all these freaking annoying. How many of you in here have a name with some kind of X on the ass end or the front end? Right here. One person! Right here. All right. X. They just don't want you to admit it.
I'm an original legend. I have the original subscription, and I got away from the game. I came back to some bad 75th anniversary, and by that time, I have some of my original names that nobody else can have because I was one of the first ones to get it, and some of the new ones, they're all gone. So I've got X's here, I've got X's there, I've got whatever I can get to get the name in. So yeah, I'm a big victim of that. And to free up some of those names nobody's using would be fantastic or something like that.
Well, it's hard to know what's not being used yet, right? So you go through and you've gotten this concept you want, and you think you've already gone through all the character creation. Now it's time to change it to name your character. Take it. All right, let me put some ridiculous, symbols in front of it.
Or you could have to change your character name when you were going for it.
Yeah. Especially like if you get a name change token too or something like that, put that in, and now you're like, blah.
So the trick to that is put them on your ignore list. If it says does not exist, then you're usually okay, unless it's a banned name. So.
Thanks for saving us some work. Just do that.
But that doesn't help new players, though.
Well,
the new players is the one where it has the XXX dead 4 3 P 0 O 1.
Another solution would be to put the name choice as the first thing you do. Then, if you're set on a name and can't have it, well then you can't go any further because that name's taken. So like this gentleman said, you've got to redo your design from the beginning as opposed to you get the design all set, you're all ready to go, and damn it, the name's gone. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a chicken and egg thing though, right? Because that might work for an experienced player that knows what they're going for and all the powers, but it doesn't work for a new player who has no clue. And in fact, we used to, when we first were in pre-alpha, we actually, one of the concepts we had for character creation was to be not linear. And the feedback sort of came in from the team from this thing we used on the big site that was confusing for them, or they were missing options. So they made the decision to go linear. That kind of romantic. Anyway, are we still on track here?
We've talked a bit about styles.
Yeah,
so
we can switch over to,
I
heard somebody mention story.
In the back you mentioned you play for the story. So how many people in here play to see how the story or the world progresses in DCUO? Any comments on when that's been most fun for you, or what time in the game or what content in the game has been most exciting for you that way?
The beginning of the game, like the whole classic game, is probably my favorite stories, especially the villain stories. As I'm progressing, I think the Nora Freeze story is probably the most depressing, and that's the best idea of it. That kind of idea where you take elements from the actual comics that have maybe some actual historical in the comics to it, and then you put your twist on it, and it creates this immersion that helps so much for, especially a comic nerd like me. I love this game. I've actually seen it at was it 2008's Comic Con, like in the. I think I met you once back then. But when it comes to the story, like you get all these stories and you see them, and it's like you want to see more. And I know you have like so much backlog to go on it. It's like you're watching it and you're enjoying it and you're enjoying it, and then it's like stop, and then we'll go to the next one and we'll come back to it. And I would say every time you guys introduce a new story, I really enjoy it. I try to, like in my mind, I know a lot of stories and I connect them to what I've seen in the comics, and it really, really enjoy it. And it's funny too because I'm probably the most comic nerd in my league. Half my league aren't comic nerds at all. Like they've never read a comic and they enjoy this game just because they can actually pick it up and enjoy the story to go with it. And then they'll ask me questions about it and I'll answer it like as best I can, but I go in a roundabout way sometimes. And they're like, what the hell are you talking about? But I would say the classic story is really good, and then I like what's going on with the new, like, I really enjoyed, even though like there were some problems with the technical side of Origin Crisis, I thought Origin Crisis was a really good conceptually story-based one, especially with the alternate realities building up on it. I like the War of the Light and the new trilogies that are going on, because it's sort of like, in your mind you're thinking, well, how does this connect to the comics? And then you start anticipating like what's going to be in the next DLC. Because War of the Light 2 is coming up soon, and then Amazon Fury again, and I'm looking forward to how it plays out. This trilogy idea I actually really enjoy, because you can tell the story and we get the story. So.
Raise your hand if you mainly or prefer to play a hero. How about a villain? Both, if you actually jump back.
I like both.
Okay, so it's interesting because the demographic in the room is different from the demographic in the game by far. There's almost half of you prefer to play villain than play villain. What makes you choose one side or the other? Why, if you're a hero, why do you play a hero or not play a villain?
Right at the start or after you play through one side and then want to see how the other half lives?
I don't know if I put any restrictions on the answer.
Well, at least for me, it was, I mean, primarily it's I've always been drawn to the shining light rather than the dark side. That's just a personal choice. But having played through both and having seen both, the hero side is more appealing to me simply because with the villains, it's all self-interest, ultimately. It's all backstabbing and betrayal, and that's fun for a while, but on the other, I mean, the teamwork aspect, especially in an MMO game, you get the sense on the hero side that that's what it's about. You're trying to work together to do something. Whereas the villains, they're working together as long as it benefits them, and as soon as it doesn't, they're going to stab you in the back and try to kill you. And that's something that I appreciate about the hero side.
I'd say, for me, when I first started the game, I started free to play, and you only get 2. And I like the idea of looking out the stories for both. So I built a hero and a villain. Those were my first 2 characters. And as you progress through both of them, you see the differences. And I would play both evenly, but the population on the hero side makes it so much easier. Just
So population.
Oh, yes.
Does anyone here play hero simply because it's easier to play hero due to population?
Well, I guess now, yes.
Michael, you, Rich.
Yeah, I think just growing up, the culture of comic books has always been, heroes have always had their own titles, Batman, Superman. You never saw, Joker have his own comic, so.
He did.
I'm sure, we've been one shots and stuff like that, or, special editions and stuff, but, I'm talking about like growing up and all the titles in Flash, and all the heroes. So for me, like, when I started playing the game, I always wanted to have that character who would like have his own comics, so in my mind, it was heroes and not really villains. Being the villains is always the objective, So I think it's not anything in the game that made me choose like who we're doing. It's just growing up and just, that character. Comic
I just want to add a little bit there. I always want to play villain because they're evil and they have a holodeck, which is just, in my opinion, better than Watchtower.
All right, and they're more accepting of robots.
Yeah, that's true. Robots are slaves. But what always stops me is when I actually start to read the comics or watch the movies, and it's actually serious. You know, the story is serious. Like the Joker's a seriously bad guy, and it's not fun for me after a point to be a part of that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else.
That's what I was trying to argue.
I kind of take it too serious at some point, and then it's not fun as a game.
Somebody, I was doing an interview recently, I forget what it was for, maybe a podcast or something like that, and they asked me about we told them, asked how many other more heroes are going, so there are far more heroes, and they're like, well, why do you think that is? How can you get more people to play villains? And I'm like, it's an uphill battle because of the very reasons you guys are talking about. I mean, it's only been recently that you see villains more celebrated and focused on in the titles. Things kind of turn a little more to that darker skew. But for the most part, people, when they go and want an escapist kind of fantasy, they usually want to be a hero. They have read these stories through the eyes and sort of empathize with Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, and so they want to step in the shoes of that role. So it's like, how do you undo a lifetime worth of conditioning to be a good person and be a hero? 10% benefit to DPS because you went with the low pop. I don't know if it would work or not.
I think it's like everybody's looking, when they go to play a hero, everybody's looking for their own Superman moment.
Sure, exactly.
It's like, I had my own Superman moment a few months ago. I was helping another hero out at Metro Hospital with a bunch of villains that were going around ganking all the lobies there. And, after we got done fighting and I was getting ready to fly off, I saw him type in the shout chat. He said, "Thanks a lot, Super Patriot." And I totally cheated the line from the original movie. And I said, "Don't thank me. We're both on the same team." And I just took off flying. I was like, that was like, everybody's looking to have their own little Superman moment. So I think just finding something for people to have like their own little, maybe their own little villain release.
Well, yeah, Jesse would say that you can't be evil enough. Jesse wants to be able to do all sorts of horrible things.
That's the rumor, but
Why do you encourage this on a panel again?
I mean, I prefer to play villain only when I play heroes because you guys keep choosing freaking heroes, and I don't want to play.
Everyone knows. Yeah, I played villain at lunch, and I was like, I switched because of pop
a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, then you guys have a chance to me. All heroes again.
I got to ask one question before about that. Why did the Lex Luthor level 30 mentor quest change?
And so all of the ones did. So we were kind of forced to put that in at the last minute, and most of them were really lame. They were just really lame, especially because it was like, no matter what, you sit there and electrocute, Luthor, threaten to kill him, and then he's still your mentor. It just felt like bizarre. Like you would be in a box somewhere, if you did that to Luthor. Joker's not going to forgive you. I doubt Circe is going to be like, oh, it's all cool. Like it just didn't make a lot of sense, and it was all kind of complicated. They were really poorly polished.
I like the Lex Luthor one though. That one seemed like you could have paid him off. That one worked. I was a little disappointed when I made a villain not too long ago, and I saw that after Game Update 30. I'm just like, why did it change?
Yeah. Yeah. We just simplified. I mean, do you want to talk about that at all?
Not really. Yeah, I'm not getting myself in trouble.
I play mainly for the story as well, at least initially. Now I DS with defense most of the time. But the
Rebel, right?
Yeah.
All right. Right on.
The story for me, I play mainly hero. But when I read the villain run of the DC Comics, a few months back, where they had the Dark Side was on the Superman or whatever run, and the Joker, etc. When I read all those issues, I loved those villain stories and made me want to go play a villain. So I wish there were stories that were kind of focused like that. The tone of those comics were really fun, and they kind of showed the villains as not as heroes, but they win at whatever their story is.
Let's talk about that.
Let's not.
No,
Like,
let's.
2 years ago, I don't want to do it.
No, let's. Donovan, Disney Kraken, contest design here, right? Talk about the challenges for trying to make content for both factions that, like, no, the realistic, things that we need to, both be on the same page about is just our limited number of hours in a week and a number of man-hours that go toward making a piece of content. And, the more we split stuff off and make snowflakes for each side, the less stuff. Yes, and it's challenging.
Absolutely. I mean, we have to build less content if we made hero-specific content and villain-specific content. And, if we have a cool story that's just for the villain, where the villain is winning something, some story, we have to wrap that up, and it's going to lead into some other story. And if the heroes are doing the opposite and they're winning on their side of the story, then, that's having the content that we put out. You can't do that.
Origin Crisis was a very unique opportunity for us to do something cool.
Yep.
And we did this kind of loop back and forth where the time travel enabled you to feel like you were winning, and then the other side of the coin was, well, we just undid what you did. Well, we undid what you undid. Well, we undid what you undid, but you undid. And it just went right on and on and on. And it worked out and felt pretty cool, right? But that's not always the case. It just doesn't always work out. And one of the things that we love, I know, are iconic anomalies, and I say we loosely. I'm sure everybody loves them, but what they're great for us because you step into the shoes of a particular character, and we can tell you a story bit that relates to that character that might. So narratively, it gives us an opportunity for both sides to see, see the story, and it's unique content that you can feel like a villain or a hero. So, and you can share it because we don't have to worry about doing that content. Well, how does it work out for a hero, or how does it work out for a villain? But how many people in here loathe iconic anomalies?
I wouldn't say.
Let's do more! There's only two! There's only two!
Let me errata that with my side.
The feat where we had to do it 100 times.
Yeah, it's sort of like when you do it once, I love the story. You do it a couple times, oh, that's kind of interesting, especially with like the Huntress one.
Right? Yeah, so all four of them, if we had keep adding those, that would be easier and easier and easier for you to achieve.
Yeah, but the Huntress one though, where
that was a long. Sometimes you put feats out that are long-term things, and then people think that like, oh, I gotta get this done before the next DLC. This is ridiculous.
Well, it goes with like the Huntress one had like was it 5 different villains and that you fight, and it's you're dealing with that. But when you look at it, like you need that mark or you need that feat that's inside of it or whatever, and you're looking at the time, and it's a MMO, and you want to go join your friends with like 4 or 8 man content. You're just looking at it as like you can't make it any faster. You can't go faster like you could in the original solos, where like you get your gear and you're like, oh, I can go do this run and I can go get the mark and then move on to the next one. Yeah, it's flat because it's a legend character, and that's my issues because it's like I can get the Huntress one down to 8 minutes. I can get it down maybe to 7 minutes, but that's as far as I can go, and that's if I don't make a mistake. And I look at it and I'm just like, well, I don't really want that mark anymore. I don't really want to run the content because it's just my benefit in my personal time. I can't make that to go faster because I do enjoy them. I love them I love the story with Cersei, and the Wonder Woman one's interesting because the Cersei one I thought was the best because you're listening to her like narrate this thing. A little birdie told me at the beginning, and you're listening to it, and it's like you get the whole concept of the buildup of what the whole Amazon period was about. But I don't want to run that over and over again just because they're actually pretty long like instances.
So there's value to being able to up-level yourself and play the content again. Where it's easier. This is working again.
Yeah, this is.
I don't think they can tell by your body.
So to that point, what's kind of lacking there, what Jesse alluded to is the gear, the feat progression, right? So how many people out there would say you play fundamentally to progress your character either in gear or getting feats to achieve skill points? Basically, okay.
Clutch is just waiting for a PvP question.
I got it. I got it.
Hand here.
Give comment.
Going back to the story, there were a couple of stories that were from base game that I wish would continue, like the Doomsday attack on
Smallville. I would think it would be a neat idea for us to go back and maybe as heroes, we start off, rebuilding the town, and then some supervillain comes and starts doing trouble, and the hero becomes figure out why is this guy here, why is he doing it now? And the villain side of that would be, oh, he's just a distraction. The villains are off trying to collect some of the doomsday exabytes for Luthor, and maybe take care of some of those contracts that need to be, signed off on.
You have a question, Jan?
Wait for it. Patience. We have
Yeah, we're not
here today.
We're not revealing anything in this panel.
But I will say this: you'll notice that trilogies. So Sons of Trigon was not a trilogy, but it capped off. Origin Crisis capped off a story, right? The launch story, anyway. The Brainiac story. Sons of Trigon capped off some of the Brother Blood, Circe storyline. And you'll notice the War of the Light actually deals with some continuation of things that were happening in, with the entities and Brainiac. And Amazon Fury has a direct relation to Battle for Earth and Brainiac's attack on Themyscira. So these trilogies are sometimes picking off where other stories left off. And, or another time, like the New Gods one introduces something completely new. Halls of Power is a completely new storyline all in and of itself, but it's obviously going to be going somewhere. So look for us to continue a lot of things that are unfinished right now in the game as we move forward with the trilogy concept. But let's get back to this other one.
Do you want to talk about gear and loot?
I really do want to find out about why you guys play gear, feats, achievements, and things like that. Just because we are running out of time.
Well, I was going to ask just to make sure we get it in. How many of you are in a league? How many of you would say?
How many of you are in a league of one?
Six count?
How many of you would say that you play because your friends play, because of the relationships that you've met?
I think it's a given.
I guess it's kind of a loaded room.
Yeah.
So, but still, it's a huge part of all of the MMOs that we have, but especially this game. And especially now that there are most recent Paul.
To kind of riff on what the last guy said, one of the other reasons I played for story reasons is like one of my favorite quests was the Flash quest like that in Central City, and playing as either a hero or a villain to see one of those iconic moments like the Joker falling into the bag of chemicals, any of those moments you could give me, you can bet I would play them, and I would play them more than once, because those to just be able to be there for the birth of something is a real motivator.
So that moment is actually part of the storyline for Origin Crisis, right? I mean, all of that stuff ties together. I don't know, how many people ever noticed the rogues running through the Speed Force in the tunnels?
Yeah.
Very few of you. Okay, that's a direct reference to Abracadabra and the rogues going back to the Flash. So all that stuff ties in, and I'll talk about that more later.
Okay.
So I've got to go to the original question, why I play, and it's something which people who know me would probably not think of it as a reason why I play. I mean, I've got every feat in the game done, but I play DCUO for social and because coming from other MMOs, DCUO is very casual. I can log on and not have to dedicate 6 to 7 hours a night, 3 to 4 nights a week to get my content done. And so it's, for me, I play it a lot more than I've been playing other MMOs because, let's face it, I'm not in college anymore. I'm not able to dedicate 40 hours a week to a game anymore. I can get a lot.
Those poor kids in college. If they're spending 40 hours a week, and then mom and dad are going, where the fuck did my money go?
Replay badges. When MMOs were out in EQ, I mean, there were polls done in EQ, and 99,000 people were playing 40 hours a week on average, stuff like that. But it's casual. I like the fact that DCUO with 8 people raids and 4-man group content, to me, that's casual. I can log on, do something fast, get off an hour and a half later, and feel like I've accomplished something.
Yeah, that's definitely for me too. Especially now I've got a full-time job, and it's like I really want to play more, but I can't do those like up at 9 a.m. and be in bed like 3 a.m. the next
Let me get ahead of the inevitable follow-up here. Everyone's experiencing beginning of the tier blues with Halls of Power. If you remember back to the beginning of the last tier, the content took a lot longer as well. So just hang in there. You'll get your time back, I promise.
All right, let's transition. Just a few minutes left. How many of you would say you play for PvP, either Arena or Legend?
No one? No one?
No one.
Do you want to say anything, Clutch?
Well, when I originally started playing, it was basically I just wanted to try it out. I thought it was interesting. I wanted to play the game, and I started playing with UK at exactly the same time. And we started playing Legends because it was one of the easiest games at the time. You have to be able to run character and after a while, you realise it's really fun, and you realise that the current mechanics of the game, as well as skills that better to some of the other players.
Good job, buddy.
We really thought that there was some really good potential for a really competitive scene in the game. And there used to be quite a lot of Legends tournaments on the UPC, so the Legends community on our servers are bigger than the music. And we started doing FNL, when I was getting live tournaments. We were on the verge of having a break from the game because a lot of people I knew didn't play. It's just
No, I was going to say you need to learn a little bit of a hustle here. You know, you gotta lose a few, get a few more people thinking they got a shot, and then bring the hammer down.
But yeah, there was probably only about 3 or 4 teams that used to have really close games with us. So we were thinking of having a break in this small time that you get better. But then we started doing things like FNL. And especially the qualification tournaments here that we could play against something like that. As soon as we saw that, we didn't believe it. Someone told us the game, someone came to us, was like, oh, you're looking forward to this free trip to Vegas. I was like, no, I'm pulling my leg here. We went on to the first season side at the time, and we were just like, yes, definitely going to be playing that. but yeah, so basically the competition was the thing that kept us playing. But recently, a lot of my time has been on to try and help people who aren't quite as good at game legends learn things like how mechanics, how to play different characters. They don't play the same. You get characters, say, you get characters like Catwoman, who is pretty exploitable. They're meant specifically to get a counter, and they have really quite versatile. But then you have some characters like, say, free note Troscus. He would basically all damage every time. Like, technically different. You don't have to go to counters, you don't have to pressure people into blocking or going to block rates. But a lot of people don't understand that. They think everyone plays the same. And obviously, everyone characters the same, so it's really work. So I quite enjoy now helping people get better because.
How many other people play to help others at this point?
Play it forward.
If I don't help people, nobody plays on the villain side. When I see a new person, I help them.
So it's actually self-interest.
It's self-interest, and when I have all the feats, it's what I do when I log in. I log in, I queue random movie stuff.
Do you ever have some like sort of real world conflict with that? Like, boy, I'm really nurturing and helping somebody to become my villain. It's scary.
It's kind of interesting when I was building that character post Game Update 30, the villain side, there was a lot of Loki villains. But then I get on my level 30 high level tiered one, I can't get a group together. It's just like, where's the middle ground here? Like, where's the people that step in there? And I think a lot of it is just they
abandon and go to the heroes.
Yeah, that's what I see a lot of it probably happening.
Just going back to the PvP thing really quick, with more remaining time. Does anyone have any thoughts of like what, you heard Clutch talk about the counter mechanics and what's fun about it for him, the skill involved. Well, now a lot of you raise your hand for the PvP, who plays PvP. Does anybody have any thoughts about what would interest them in playing PvP or get them interested in PvP? Somebody we haven't heard from.
How about Trex?
How about Trex? Yeah. Everyone knows I'm actually a PvP guy, or a PvE guy, and the only time I ever PvP'd and Team Super Page was really proud of me was actually the original Moon base. the original moon where I actually became quarterback and carried the rock the whole way. I didn't care about any of the fighting. I actually wanted to play the objective. So just grabbing that rock and going for it. If I died, I died. I had people yelling at me. It's like, why don't you fight? I'm like, I'm carrying this rock. Do you know how much points I get for this rock? I'm carrying this rock. So that was my whole objective for PvP was I always played moon. I play Australia because it was a node capture and it was like multiple points. So it's like they got this and one the other one.
I'm surprised most people, groups used to kick people if they touched the rock. They would be like, get in here and fight. To the point where we had to nerf kills on there, and then it became about the rock, and everyone was like, darn you, you made it about the rock.
At that time, though, that was they were using that as another 5v5 deathmatch thing, and that was the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Well, interesting enough when you say that, like, so the last lap tried to incorporate a lot of objective-based content for that reason, and it's probably some of the least popular stuff we did from a PvP front. So it's kind of interesting. You probably have guys like Clutch here and yourself that just really want to focus on the combat and the competitiveness and the countering mechanics. And anytime you add objectives that distract from that, you get a real schism in the community.
Within the PvP player community, they definitely don't like that objective thing. They want to do deathmatch. They want to have just go in, sign, sell, 5v5. There's nothing, they just go in there and kill. But for a KO
in a box.
Yeah, just for a PvE player like myself and probably a couple other ones, like if we're going to do PvP, we want to have an objective. We don't want to just kill. We might have those people it's like, all right, you're going to distract, go run around and just let them kill you. We're going to go and do this. And
do you guys, those of you, how many of you agree with that? Okay. So if we were to, what do you think about us trying to keep a objective-based map in our rotation? Does that interest you?
Yeah. I actually enjoyed safe houses when you could do it on a regular basis, because that was one of the few times that I felt really special as a controller or a tank, because you can sit there, you're pulling the person who's got the objective, or as a tank you can be the one carrying it and then running to the thing because you take more hits or something like that. And where the other ones, it's sort of you needed to require a balanced team, but when you're pugging it all the time, balanced teams never happen, ever, whenever you really need them to be, and those were pretty fun to deal with. And I was sad that that one map was gone for almost 2 years now or something. So it was like, you look at it, it's just like it kind of killed the drive because you don't see it in the others that are needed in rotation that often. You see like Arkham or the other four, Ace. Yeah, you see those regularly. I mean, they're great objective, but they still become sort of like you got to take care of that point as opposed to trying to run that football or save that person or something like that.
Let's go to the back.
I can think because you guys talk about PvP and the economic models, I feel most I don't really see too much because it's so fast paced at times when you get these very competitive matches with really good players, it moves so fast in the learning curve on when people don't PvP a lot.
Scrimmage this guy.
Good Lord. Let's do the video, a 3-minute video on Superman. And how it wasn't that bad. But the
He's not that bad. We missed the mark, if that's the comment.
But I know you have the scrimmage system set up so that if you find somebody else who has a legend character who wants to scrimmage with you, you can practice. But for those who don't have friends in names who want to sit around and practice PvP all the time, yeah, economic anomalies work for me because I can practice with those 4 characters.
I'll be honest with you, that was another reason that we were interested in doing that, because it got people to experience some of these characters that we put a lot of work into, going into the legend characters, and we wanted more people to experience that.
And
you just wanted Bizarro.
But any thoughts on a legend practice area where you can take the legends, not a scrimmage?
There is some backlog. We absolutely want to do that. Nothing is worse than being like, hey, I just unlocked a new Legends character. Well, it gets a better cue and frantically hit the target dummy in the starting area to figure out what this guy does. And, make sure you leave yourself enough time so you're not snared by the time the door opens. That's pretty frustrating. We recognize that, and it's something that we will be addressing.
All right, well, that is basically all the time we have for this panel. But we'll be continuing to talk about all the stuff throughout the weekend. And we have the PvP panel coming up later in the week, and we have also those panels coming up.
Does
time for the devs coming?
Sound of Devs is next at 10:30.
What time's the keynote, Ted?
Keynote's at 2 o'clock.
Woo!
So if you're going to go to one panel, that's one panel to go to, one more panel, I guess. And we got stuff going all weekend, so we'll see you back here in about 30 minutes.
Thanks for the discussion.